So, welcome everybody to the stream. It's hard not to say Twitch, but to the stream. We had a great alpha week. I think everything ran really well. Probably the best we've ever had. Um,
I think so.
yeah, there was
Doing great.
Yeah.
no major issues besides for one issue in the midweek, which was completely a coding error that I made at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
So I should probably not put in patches at 2 o'clock in the morning, but at the same time, you've got to counteract the ninja exploits.
Yeah, Ninja. You and your exploits.
So
You
other than
hacker,
that,
you.
and the wall issues, which I consider kind of a minor issue, um, which is easy to fix. I think everything ran pretty well. I know that the war minister was having some issues, so me and Ala have been testing that pretty extensively over the past 24 hours. We actually have a new plugin, which I will show so everybody has like an easier, it's a lot nicer than what we had before. If I can get it to pop up. So, as everybody can see on the screen, if they can see my screen, uh, we have a brand new kind of pop up for picking the war minister. It's got little buttons where you can choose the dates. You can send up to 5 days out, and then you can do these little drop downs here, then choose the time. Alice still going to style them for us, so they kind of fit in better with the game. But
Yeah,
for
they're still
now,
all silver at the moment.
the functionality looks good, and they work pretty well. We've got all the times worked out so that they look right. If you send out if you set a time, it'll show you like the proper departure time for whatever troop you're sending. So we're adding in that little information, and that's kind of one of the things I want to go through and do over the week is go through everything and make sure that the correct information is showing everywhere, that everything um, gives people the proper feedback, kind of make the experience better, because I know that there were some places where that was lacking, and mostly that's because I don't have as much time to test things. I actually did take Friday night off and just played the
The
game.
screen is not moving, and actually, when I refresh, I don't get.
20 years from now, we'll all laugh about the early days of the internet, right?
Ah,
Yeah, when like the
There we go. It's back up.
screen on a video feed wasn't actually totally reliable.
When
Right.
we actually had screens on our
Yeah, 'cause it's
computers, is what we will be laughing about. You guys had screens? What the hell was wrong with you?
And
You mean you
keyboards, you
couldn't
had
just
to.
wave your hand through the air and get a screen?
You drove your own
it
cars? That
wasn't just
sounds
projected on your
dangerous.
eyeballs.
Right.
20 years from now,
Yeah,
I will
so
still be
there's
driving
the.
my own car. God.
I would bet that 20 years from now it will be illegal
That's
for
true.
people to
I
drive
think
their
yeah,
own
I don't
car.
think cars will ever go out of fashion because they're so fun to drive,
I
except for like designated rally areas or
I
something.
would bet you 20 years from now that cars are illegal to drive yourself.
That would be interesting to see if that comes true.
That's not a joke.
Although
I,
it's,
I really think that's the way it's going to go.
Well, people don't ride horses on streets anymore, but people still ride horses in general because they enjoy it. I think that yeah, it'll probably become like a hobby or something.
Oh, but you can ride horses on the street. But if you think about it, the number of deaths especially in America, the highest is from car accidents. And so, when they
That's true.
come out with automated driving cars, the number of accidents is going to go down to relatively zero because a computer is going to drive a car a lot more efficiently and safely than a person can.
People still die from falling off horses, though. So I still think could be a hobby.
Right, but where are you going to drive the car? Because they're not going to want you
On
manually
a
driving your
racetrack,
car.
much like a horse racetrack, but for cars.
Have you ever ridden a horse on a horse racetrack?
No.
Well, there you go.
Mhm. I was in
Yeah.
Michigan
What ninja
and
says race
almost
car track.
I came across a horse and buggy that was, hauling some farm produce down the road in Amish country. Of course, I
Oh,
nearly
you
hit them. I
see
mean,
that
I was
all
going
the
like 90 miles an hour.
you see that all the time here where I live. About 10 miles south of where I live is Amish country, and so you can go out on our highways here. Actually, I'm in Ohio, Ninja, and there's Amish country here too. It's about 20 miles south of the lake, 10 to 20 miles south of the lake.
So,
And so we get a lot of horse and buggies around here too.
so yes, back to
I like how much we digressed off point there.
the game. Yes, the War Minister, the server time adjustment was worked in. I've been testing it with every different time zone possible. Changing my computer time. So I've and it works for Alan. She's all the way in Finland, so we've, we're pretty sure that it's going to work well for anybody, no matter your time zone. It's just completely on server time, and as you can see on the screen, it's pretty easy to use. And the time deducts, so it shows you the depart time and when it would return. Although if a siege, it would show you a return time. So
We
it's
did have a little bit of a glitch the other night with somebody trying to set an attack a few minutes before midnight to land the next day, and it kept saying time is in the past.
right. That's
Yeah,
completely
that's what
fixed.
happened for me.
That's
It
pretty
was
much why we did it.
if you're in Europe, you're like 7 hours behind, so it's like trying to add 7 hours onto you. So if you're like setting an attack to leave in an hour, it's setting an attack to leave like in minus 6 hours. So yeah,
Yeah, I've pretty much been working on this for like the past 12 hours to make sure that it all was perfect
Yeah.
and it worked for every time zone. And I mean, I've really done a lot of testing and digging in and making sure that everything works right on the War Minister. So that was one of the things that annoyed me when I took my night off for playing. So
yeah.
it should be good to go now. I'm going to work on the Trade Minister next.
Sweet.
That night off that you took was actually very productive, Gordy.
Yeah, you know what? You don't know how things are working unless you're actually playing the game, and I don't usually have any time to sit down and actually play. So, you know, getting to see it, I got to see all of the little things that annoyed the shit out of me. And so those are the things that I'm going to change first, just because it made it really hard. Like one of the things was when you're attacking, it gets rid of the cords. So if you want to send another attack from a different city, then the cords are wiped, and you have to like press the attack the city over and over again. So now I've made it so that
Our
if you,
sound is cut out.
so shit.
Damn.
Now we have video, but we don't have sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in the last few seconds, I think.
Oh no, we're back now.
Okay, I think it's just
We're
server
back.
jumps. But yeah, I made it so that
Maybe we just stopped talking.
Maybe.
if you switch cities while you've got the window open, it will automatically change the chords for you. And then if you switch to another city, it just, anytime you click on something, it will automatically put the chords in there for you. So I thought that was one thing that really bugged the crap out of me. That will be better now. So little things like that just make the experience in the game a lot better. So, but it's on my list of things to do is doing the trade minister, getting him working well, locking in on the building minister and the defense minister, making sure items work well. I'm going to redo the regional map, kind of like a different fashion, so that it's more live updating and less pull on the servers. And also that's the source of the memory leak that I'm sure everybody has experienced by keeping the game running for more than 15 minutes at a time, and you have to refresh and then it clears up again. So that was the result of a memory leak that comes from regional map and a way that I was handling the data. So I'm kind of going to get rid of that. The downside to that is that tooltips are going away for hovering over cities in regional map. Just because unless you do it in a manner that gives you memory leaks, there's no way to do the tooltips in a reasonable fashion. So it'll have to be, we'll go to right clicks and, actually clicking on the building menus or on the building to get who it is, but then we'll still have the labels. But, I don't think the tooltips were that great anyways.
And we're eventually going to have an option where you can either show a person, the owner's name or the city name, right?
Yes.
In-game options, yeah.
In-game options, yeah. And also we're going to do something where we can make sure that people can see their own cities.
We're gonna have like little Roman war banners over your own cities, or
This is the one of the test graphics for um, shrines. So we're still working on them and figuring out which ones we like best. But that is a test, and that was actually in the last alpha for like a week. So if you didn't clear your cache, you wouldn't have seen it.
yeah, Sergio's trying some totally new graphics too. So we'll see how this all goes.
Yeah,
I really like that double ring for the shrines.
I'm
really
not quite
do.
sold on it. But other than that, that's
I
pretty
think it
much
might
gonna
be
keep me
going. To
busy.
be honest.
And Ala's been doing some work on the displays and redoing the commands window. Right now, I think she's going to go through and redo all of the windows.
Yeah, pretty much. I have ranked in a order of like priority, how badly things need to be done.
Just little things like moving times over and making sure that things don't overlap is
Pretty
will
much.
make everything look a lot better and different. Um, I don't know if anybody noticed. I never heard anybody comment on our, defenses, incoming resources and stuff like that, or reinforcements. So I don't know if anybody noticed that those were working or not. Let me see if I can get it to show. It's running kind of slow with the
Yeah,
Twitch and
this is
Skype running.
Yeah, reinforcements are really hard to read. They're all the lines bleed into each other, and their lines, like the font bleeds off the bottom of the
not anymore.
box.
So
Yay!
see if
Excellent.
we can get them to show somewhere.
What's that?
I was like trying to cross my eyes, looking at a list of reinforcements that somebody
Yeah, I
had
don't know how
gotten a
that happened.
screenshot of.
It was like I think it was like something that Gordy did combined with something that I did that just they really weren't working together. I think Gordy had the table cells displaying in a kind of a funny way, and then I had black borders around all the table cells, and it really didn't work for actually being able to see.
So that's one of the things we're going to, Ala's going to do over the week is make sure everything looks good and that all of the windows work.
So you don't have to squint at any of the commands or Q slots. Yeah.
And not only that, but that they work correctly, and so that
Yeah.
they actually show the right thing when it needs to be showed. Display. I did. I don't know if
sorry.
JK was on when he saw that.
I don't. Okay.
What?
Well, in the command slots, it isn't. I think he means in the command slots. Oh, for schedule, yeah, that's. I put in a section actually. If Gordy ought to schedule attack on the screen whenever you're done with the reinforcement thing, I have put in a section for the departure time, but you haven't filled it in yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Is it going to be ever where we can click into the command and see what troop type is coming in?
Yes. Troop type going out, yeah, you'll be able to. Obviously, for incoming attacks too, you'll be able to see what's coming out.
And for incoming
yeah,
support
for commands,
too.
actually, I have a window for that set up. We haven't actually rigged it up yet, so it's
You know,
displaying. But yeah, that's the reason that
I do remember at one point when we first started development that we had a window for canceling sieges, didn't we?
yes, we did, and we do. It's just not at all rigged up yet, so I have it commented out in the code.
Okay, because I do remember that where you could click on the command, but it would be nice to click on the command and see that little pop up, or I'm sure you can come up with
Yeah.
something snazzy to look at, like not even
Yeah,
a full
it's
pop
in
up,
the-
but like a sidebar kind of thing, or
Yeah,
we
anything
can
to
do that.
show what kind of troops are coming in for support. That would be great.
maybe even like a
Also-
tooltip kind of thing,
Yeah, we could do a tooltip.
with like the little
Yeah, it would
pictures
be
in the
really nice
tooltip.
to see what kind of troops we have already stationed in our city without having to go to the enlistment box.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think I put that in, didn't I? Isn't that in the reinforcements, or is that
Yes,
only
you
showing
actually, I think you
reinforcements?
added that during the week. So yeah, that should be in.
It never showed on mine. Maybe I
Maybe it didn't show the
didn't clear
troops
my
that were
cache
home.
enough.
It just showed the troops that were
Hang on, I
reinforcing.
have some troops on support in one of my cities with that one. Let me see.
Yeah, knowing what troops are at home would be nice too. Just like somewhere in that bottom display on the left-hand panel would be nice to see. You know, like if I have 272,000 vanquishers in my city, it would be nice to see it without having to open the enlistment
Oh,
box.
I see what you mean. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we could add that to the troops stationed in the city section of defenses. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, we just have, troops home, or maybe we have like a.
We have, well, I mean, down in the defenses section of the toolbar main menu. So, like, when you scroll down there, and we have the little units stationed here table that we put in during the week there. This one here, I just took a screenshot of it. That one. When you look at that it also has the units that belong to that city, and not just reinforcements, but like also the units that actually live in that city.
Yeah, see, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's perfect. Perfect.
So yeah, little things like that will make the game a lot easier for everybody to play, and
think so.
Exactly.
kind of make the user experience better. I think that was a lot of people's big complaint, was that they couldn't see this or couldn't see that, and so they couldn't properly play.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
Ketzel would say, it allows you to become immersed and stay immersed if it's real easy to use.
Yes.
So it's all just a work in process, and hooking everything up properly and making it look right, and it just takes time.
Right.
And I did fix the incoming and outgoing attacks, so that probably made a lot of things easier.
You know, it's great seeing those now. They're very fast and responsive and accurate.
The incoming attacks and outgoing attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they should be pretty good, and they hide the right information depending on your alliance rank and things like that. So, I do need to add in some stuff for. They don't show scheduled attacks right now, which I need to do. So make it show so it shows the schedule attacks with the little clock next to them. And,
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah. And eventually a continent filter, so you can see just incoming or outgoing on a certain continent.
yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah, that would be great. I loved that.
Yeah, the select, well, in the, incoming attacks, outgoing attacks menu that pops up when you click on those top buttons, there is actually a show cities on blah, blah, blah continents in that, but it's not hooked up yet. I guess
That
if
should
you
be
upload
pretty
it,
What
easy.
it's
about
not hooked up
export?
yet.
Are we going to be able to download the list of attacks or something to Excel or something?
Yeah, maybe eventually.
Say yes.
Just
Technically,
that's
yes, if you
not.
use the HTML.
That is true. That's not something that is as big of a priority as a lot of the other stuff. But yeah, eventually. Eventually I'd like to have an entire data sheet of all of your stuff and incomings and outgoings and all that kind of thing. So that's always been my plan, was to have a really nice kind of HUD display that's actually a separate page that's linked to your account.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And that'd also be nice for, if you could get to that display before, without actually logging the game. So if you're at work or from your phone or something like that, you could actually log on and see kind of like a heads up display of everything that's going on in your account when you're not there.
Are we gonna have the trade counselor for the next Smackdown?
Yes. And he will be flawless.
Are we going to change their names to something that people will actually use? Will you people just use counselors? God damn it. Stop
Well, we can
calling me
change the
noobs.
steward now. The steward is freed up, I guess, if we want, or if Alice wants.
Um, could be. Might be a bit confusing.
I'm still a
Yeah.
fan of bitch.
I mean, I was like bitch. I found a slave as well, but apparently that's politically incorrect.
No, you can't. I told you before. It's probably not a good
Yeah,
idea
we
that you
did.
say
But it's
that on the
historically
hitbox
accurate.
in general.
Well, actually, technically, they'd be overseers, not slaves.
No, that's true.
But yes, I do plan on it working. I did.
Overseers would actually kind of work.
I have written out the trade minister, and the reason I turned him off is because I thought he was killing the database, but it turned out it was reports, which is another system that I have to kind of rewrite. It was just too much to search through the report and find people's numbers in high volume. So I'm gonna switch to like a plus minus system linked to somebody's player table, which should cut out the database lag that was happening. Just because when you get up to 50,000, 100,000 reports, and then you wanted to search through and find the ones that aren't this and are that and match up to this person, it gets to be a lot when you're doing that every second and a half for 300 people. So adding a plus minus tally will, I think, completely take out any kind of lag with that, and I can get back to having the exact number of reports. I also need to put the filter on reports, so maybe I'll work on that during the week too.
Annalise would like to know if we're going to have mergeable defense commands.
Yes.
Reinforcement.
Yeah, I already did that for sieges, so it should be pretty easy to do that for reinforcements. So I can do that.
You think you'll ever have some of the limits like Lord of Ultima did, like in terms of minimum troop size for attacks, or like the number of armies that can be involved in a combat?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably put that in there. Um, honestly, I don't see how that is, if you want to talk about combat realistic, because it's quite reasonable that you could send one person to their death to a city. So if you had one soldier, you could, send one soldier. You don't have to send a minimum amount of soldiers in war. So I never
probably
quite
would
understood
have
the
been-
reasons,
It
except for
probably would
making.
have been a bigger deal if command slots were unlimited, but like you only get 15 command slots, so I mean there's already only so many commands that you can send out. You can't really hit like 100 castles or like 300,000 castles each with one troop. Like you can only hit 15 castles max. So
And I think the reason was to make fakes kind of hurt more. So if you were going to fake, you kind of had to send a minimum amount of troop strength.
that's true.
Back when I was playing on World 17, they didn't have those limits, and we would indeed send out one troop fakes, and yeah, you'd send 15 fakes and one real attack, and yeah, it was very hard to defend.
Lord Soth would like to know if we can have those shortcuts, the hotkeys for towers and traps, please.
I think Alit just has to add them into the array, doesn't she?
They're in the array already.
Oh,
They're not working.
well, they should.
I think we all agree there that it should be working,
They should be working.
but
Don't think it
it's
is.
not. It's not working.
What is the command 2? Oh, maybe it's because it's a number. Yeah, I'll make sure it works.
Excellent. And what about the areas of research that aren't working yet? Are those going to be added in?
Which areas of research aren't working?
Like cart speed, ship travel speed, cart travel speed. I don't think the ship strength was working at all. You couldn't even open it.
Yeah, I fixed all those.
Ship travel wasn't openable.
Already all fixed.
Excellent. And senator enlist speed wasn't working either.
All fixed.
Excellent. Yay.
I get things done fast. Although mine is fully researched, so I don't know if it'll show. Should probably still show. Yeah, there it is. See, shows the travel speed. Although my browser is not happy with the all the stuff running. Yes, I'm definitely gonna. I've been having, sometimes when I'm doing other stuff besides programming that goddamn social obligations require me to do, I'm always sitting there thinking. It's when I usually come up with my best ideas on how to do different things. And so something I've been thinking about was how to redo the regional map, and I think I have a good handle on how to do it without and get rid of pretty much all the lag in the game, because it's really the only thing that's lagging the game from all of the uh, heap snapshots and things that and scanning that I've done is the regional map, and it should be you know not going to be easy to fix, but it's something that's doable.
Awesome.
Dragon says that Siege Engine speed is also not working. I don't know if that's enlistment speed or.
There was a
Travel
few of them, and basically all it was that in the array, it had some of them had brackets and um, the little curvy brackets. What are those called? Ketzel.
Those braces?
Yes, there you go. Some had brackets and braces, and some just had braces. So I just made them all have brackets and braces, and now they all work.
Nice.
Yay.
So little things
Our
like that.
overview is going to be very laggy.
I
Like
don't
when
think
you
we've even
open
started thinking about those yet. I think those are going to be almost like after release feature.
I have been thinking about those.
No.
I do know a way
Have you?
of doing the overviews without lagging it.
Interesting.
Come on, Glassel. Give us some credit here. It's not like Gordy's going to put a feature in that he knows is going to suck.
I will absolutely put in features that I know are going to suck. I will absolutely do that. Because if you don't fail, you'll never know when you succeed. So anybody who says that they don't fail is not trying hard enough, because I fail. Ask Gala how many times her game white screens when we're doing development, because that's how I program. You write something, it fails. You see why it failed, you fix it. You see why it failed again, you fix it, and then eventually you have a good finished product.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Took
All right,
Thomas
so you
Edison
want to
250 tries.
intentionally plan to do a feature knowing that it's going to be bad.
No. I don't plan on it being bad, but I will release things before they're perfect.
We know. We know that.
Mostly because if I release things when I think that they're perfect, they're not going to be perfect anyways. So then, you might as well release things when you think that they're going to work and not perfect. That way people can find the bugs and the things that you think are going to work, and then you can fix those before you move on to the rest of it.
Uh-huh.
So, but it should, I think that I could do overviews without lag.
Cool.
Lord Salt is saying that the ship travel speed is kind of off. It's like the warships are faster than scouts at the moment.
I can tell you what the issue is here. In Lord of Ultima, ships had a 1 hour loading time. Even if you were sending them one square, it'd be 1 hour plus travel time. And I think that we're not currently doing that.
Yeah,
that could be
that's
it.
probably what it is. And I think I just need to add in the 1 hour.
Okay.
And that would solve that issue.
Excellent.
I think that was
Sounds
for
good.
trade ships too, wasn't it?
Yes. it was.
Trade ships and also
Oh.
also with raiding as well.
The ships for raiding.
Well, not
Sauce
just ships,
says
but
it's
even
because of the travel path they have.
No, he's wrong. We've had this discussion.
but also with raiding. Like if you send your troops to hit a dungeon and the dungeon's only 20 minutes away in Lord of Ultima, it would take you an hour plus the round trip time.
Right.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On raids. Yep, an hour to load and
Unload
unload.
at the end.
Okay.
Huh.
Well, I can add in an hour for rating. That would it's gonna make Ninja's mom call me like 30 times over the weekend. But
Well, you'd almost have to tie that in and reduce it for the bonuses. You know what I mean? If you're gonna give bonuses to everything, you know,
I don't know. Raids are
balance
already
it all out.
pretty exponential. I don't know if
Right,
1
yeah,
hour would.
because at 10 times loot, you're already, I mean, look at what Ninja did with it.
well, I'm surprised that more people didn't figure that out between the alphas because it really was the right strategy because raids are really giving out so much that
Oh, yeah.
if you start raiding early and just keep raiding, especially that dungeons weren't dying, which will be changed in the next alpha. I will have dungeons dying. Um, you know, it'll make you grow really fast because there's more res, than you can actually do anything with. The only difference is that Ninja's on 24 hours a day. I don't think he slept the entire week. So he was around to purify before we had the trade counselor up.
Yeah.
Ninja, did you sleep all of yesterday?
Poor Ninja.
Let me tell you what, the auto refiring was a huge one. I mean, just that added so much convenience to the game
Yeah.
that it made me happy.
And the reason with that was that I had that inline in the actual code, so I didn't need to run an outside script. So that's why it works so fast. Is it kind of worked in the same capacity that your trade ministers and building ministers work, where
Counselors.
counselors, yes. Um, gosh, it's hard to remember. Uh, so that's why it works so well. So I might do the same thing that I did where I put the functionality of the trade counselor into the script so that if you're in the city, it's moving fast, but then the rest of the cities would be in like on the 10-minute loop that I have them on. So then it goes through every 10 minutes and sees if there's anything to send out. I don't see the need for it to instantly check everybody all the time. It just seems kind of wasteful because you're not going to gain that amount of resources to send out within 10 minutes. So I think a 10-minute loop is feasible, but for the city you're in, maybe it'll work more instantaneously.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it makes sense to me too.
that's mostly user experience where they set it and then it doesn't work for 8 minutes. They say it's not working. So if you put it where it's in line and it just starts working automatically, then people kind of know that it is working.
I'll tell you though, in the past, there were situations I remember where people had like a giant haul coming back from a plunder and expected it to be refined, and instead it overflowed, and they were annoyed about that.
Dragon ST would like to know what we're doing to fix the spots that look like they should be settleable and aren't.
Yeah, I need to get in there and do the raid, but like if you guys can see the feed, I don't know if it's working or not.
It's working, and you
Um,
have a mountain on the bottom right that is one of those spots.
Yeah, there's a few spots here that needed to be settleable, and so I just need to go in there and fix that. And I knew that it was an issue, but it wasn't something that I could fix while the game was going without completely wiping everybody. So it's something that I will do for the next one, so that I make sure that a lot of these spots that should be settleable are just because they have a little inch of a mountain in there. I think mountains pretty much were the only ones that caused the issue. I think
Some
a
of the
couple
hills
hills
are
might,
there, too.
but I think
Yeah,
it'll also look better to have the city behind the mountain, so it's kind of got the shadow going over it. You know. So
I
yeah,
hope so.
I'll fix
I
that.
like the shadows, by the way.
They're a
I
little
know
dark.
that
They're not
some
supposed to
people
look
thought
like
they
that.
looked funny, but I like the idea of the shadows. Like
Yeah.
they need a little bit of aesthetic work, but I like the idea.
No, I completely messed up something when I switched out the graphics, and it saved them with darker shadows than should be.
Yeah,
So,
transparency is screwed up.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that'll be fixed on the next time as well.
Sweet.
And we're going to have updated graphics for the region view. Not a huge change, but some minor changes to coastlines and new continents and stuff.
Maybe we'll actually have decided on a shrine by then as well, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And portals, maybe.
What's the
Oh,
pull?
we
Portals.
are we good on the? I think we're good on the portals, aren't we?
I actually, yeah, I think the portals
I
off,
loved
off the
it.
shrines was surprisingly painless.
Yeah.
I think like we all just like didn't even care anymore. We were just so exhausted after the shrine debates. But yeah, the portals look really good.
I think the portals look good. I think honestly the shrines, none of the shrine designs to me look really. Now that I've had some time to mull it over, I don't think any of them look as good as they should be.
I agree. Yeah.
It's about time you all agreed with me.
Oh my
You
God.
think after all this time, you guys would just realize that I'm always right.
Oh, Gordy.
Um,
But this is what I mean. We spend a lot of time about how things look too, and we do argue back and forth a lot. But we want it to look perfect, and so we do spend time arguing the fine details. A
if somebody
lot
wants to
more than
post
Sometimes
me,
very, very
He's
fine
good.
details.
somebody wants to post a picture of the portals, I can put it up there for everyone to see.
Sure.
I
I'll
don't
just
know
say.
if we have the latest one yet, or do we still have the green one? Either is good.
Good. No, we got. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Preferably a Goyoza picture, so I
It
don't
was
have to
it
log
was
in
pretty.
anywhere.
Okay. All right.
It
Here's
was
it coming up. Give me a sec.
Yeah, Glass. If you would have, I think that the images looked right in like the first 2 or 3 days before I swapped them out. So I just have to put the right ones back in.
Oh yes, there's another good question, Gordy. The outside bend of the rivers, are those going to go back to landlocks?
Yeah, again, that's kind of the same issues with the mountains and stuff. I
Yeah.
just need to get in there and tweak out the array that chooses what's a good spot and what's not.
Yep.
That's definitely good to hear.
The regional map is actually a considerable piece of work and a lot of code that goes behind it. Just because there is a lot of different facets to the regional map.
Well, it's all several different layers too, and that was something I always admired about Lord of Ultima. The region view looked so good. You know what I mean? And so I always suspected there was a lot more work behind it than what it looked like. And now I know. Sorry for the squeaky voice, by the way.
Yeah, and it's not just even the layers, because I think we have 5 layers in our regional map. It's it's clicking on buildings and getting the right information and the speeds and there's just a whole lot that goes into it.
So much goes into it.
Yeah, it's not just the graphics, it's not just the layers. There's a lot. All right, I got the Gyazo coming right up.
And once we get it done, though, it's just going to be breathtaking.
Definitely,
I
it
love the
already basically
colors.
is, except for a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
I
our
definitely like
colors
how
are beautiful, so bright and cheerful. I love it.
And also one of the reasons that I haven't reset the server yet is so that I can do all of the testing on the regional map when I rewrite it.
Well,
To
Oh,
make
there's
sure that it
another
can
good
load an
question.
entire continent.
with all those
Right.
so
There's another excellent question. The reports that people were getting of
Yeah.
scheduled attack fails that wouldn't open.
Yeah, those I need to fix. It's just somewhere in the War Minister code there was some kind of strange attack. Either that or I labeled the War Minister failed attacks as something else somewhere, so I can go in there and figure out where the issue is popping up at. But they shouldn't be there. Hmm. I think Dragon just solved the problem. It's reinforcement things. I guess I use the same code for the reinforcement, so I just need to change the code for canceled attacks, and I need to put in reinforcing reports. I haven't really decided yet on how I'm going to do the reinforcing. I think it's just going to be like a normal report that the reinforcer gets that shows their troops and the attacker's troops, but doesn't show anything else.
I
Yeah.
think that's the way it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the right
Cool.
thing to do on that one.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Oh,
otherwise you could just
somebody's
send
got feedback.
no. Otherwise you could just send in a like a single troop or something and kind of get a report of everybody,
Yeah,
even
and that
people
is
not in your line.
that's one thing I don't know if people noticed, but I did change around reports a bunch so that if you didn't have any troops left, you didn't get to see the other person's troops, which I think kind of threw some people off, saying that their reports weren't working. But
That's
that
very
was
nice.
the intended result. As Alan pointed out, that troops can't report back what was in the city if they're all dead. And things like they couldn't see who the reinforcer was, so if a city was getting reinforced, it would just look like there was just those troops in the city, which I think threw some people off as well. Um,
Okay. Hey, Gordy, I couldn't use Gyazo, but I sent you a
I
print
got it up,
screen. Okay, cool.
so I think my hitbox stopped updating for some reason.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Edie, what is
no,
it we're
mine stopped
supposed to
updating.
do when something's not working correctly?
Refresh.
Clear your cache and cookies, Gordy.
Refresh first. Oh, do we have minimum TS requirements for attacks?
Yeah, we were still, kind of up in the air on whether or not we were going to do that. Um, I haven't quite decided yet. I mean, I can see the reason for it, but then also I can see why it doesn't make any sense to do. So,
Oh, they've lost audio again. Uh-oh.
Yeah, back on World 17, I think we had like attacks where we'd have like 10,000 attacks out or something, because it was 15 per castle.
Yeah, and it would kill a server. It would take hours for all the attacks to resolve.
that's another thing I
It
need
would,
to do
but it was
is,
a lot of fun.
is I'm going to, split out the attack script so that each attack gets its own little script, so we don't have one of those issues again where things get hung up. Because that was why I think it was Saturday morning. I woke up to a bunch of the databases broken. It really wasn't the database. It was just that there were so many compiled scripts. It couldn't run through them all without getting a fault, and I have to configure the network to handle that amount. And also, if I just split them up so that Siege is its own processor, Assault its own processor, Scout's its own processor, it'll eliminate that problem as well. And also speed up the processing time because they'll run in parallel of each other. And also, I never liked the fact that, that attacks came in order in lieu. I mean, it made it convenient for reinforcing and stuff like that, but I think it's much better if they're sporadic so you don't know when what's going to hit. It kind of makes it so that you have to time your assaults to be, 1 or 2 seconds before your sieges, which is the way it should be, not that you can send them at the same time and they just hit automatically in order. Kind of think that'd add more of an element of the attack and being able to defend against them and things like that.
I love the portals. Very pretty.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to
Yay.
look if I was using the correct sprite sheet. Items working.
Oh, and the items working.
Yes, that is one of the
It's,
things.
One of the things with the fast forward enlistment is if you already had it in the queue and you used an item, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that
It
is.
also didn't like to work if you had the defense counselor auto enlisting.
I think with the defense counselor, the reason that people thought it wasn't is because it was just actually enlisting and the number was going up, but you never saw any bars or anything.
That could be.
Which is kind of the way that I set it up to do. So if you set the counselor and then use an item, it kind of treats it like as if you were offline, so it just kind of builds the troops in the background. Um, other than some sort of pop up that says the defense counselor built you this many troops over and over again. You know, um, that's pretty much the way it's going to stay. I think people will
I
probably
don't know,
get
but
used to it.
I was having problems where, like I had 9,000 troops in queue and I'd use items and, they didn't change at all. So I know that
They do
unless you
need some
fix
work.
something, they need a little work.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I have on my list of things to work on.
And Ninja said that they had issues where even adding 5 to 10 seconds to sieges land first.
Yeah, and I think if I run them in parallel, that will fix that. Because then it's not waiting for the other attacks. I also need to do some kind of optimization on the attacks. But if they're running in parallel, then the processing time for attacks goes down. So then you don't have to worry so much about them hitting 5, 6 seconds later. They'll just kind of hit at the time they're supposed to hit. Another thing I could do is probably pre-process them, by 20 seconds or something. So that way, when it hits, the report just automatically shows up because it's already been processed before they actually hit, which I think would work as well. Time in the reinforcements that are going to hit at the specific time because you're not going to change much in 10, 15 seconds.
I got a question via Skype. Everybody's happy with the tutorial. When are we going to put in like other quests and quest rewards?
That's actually, we already have them in. I just need to hook them into the attack script. And a lot of the other things, if you think about rewards, they're ingrained in everything in the game. So,
It's like building certain buildings and like, oh my god, like joining an alliance, hitting other players, hitting dungeons, hitting bosses, like whatever. Like it's like all spread throughout the game. So to hook them up, you need to get into like every little facet of the game to properly rig rewards up.
Right, and so we do have that, we've got the menu, we've got everything hooked up, it's just disabled at the moment. It's basically just me going in there and, going through every one of them, and there's, 2,500 different rewards that I need to go in there. And I think there's only 80 groups, so I just need to go in there.
Still a lot of checks.
Yeah, I have to go in there and do each of the 80 and figure out the right spot to put them in and make sure that they process through. So, it is something that we plan to do, but at this moment, I want to focus more on the lag, the items, making sure that the attacks are solid, that reinforcements are solid, that everything's kind of showing correctly, and then I'll start working on rewards. That the counselors are all working correctly, so I think trade counselor is the last one. I know that there's a little problem with the building and the defense counselor, but, those kind of things is what I'm really going to focus on this weekend. So I don't know if I'll get to rewards, but I will get to them soon.
I didn't see too many more problems with the building counselor besides him being a little bit eclectic. Like he would choose to upgrade from 9 to 10 versus a 3 to 4 in like totally out of the left to right line for whatever reason. And usually a refresh or switching cities would fix it and he'd go back to doing it right. I think that was the one that I saw the most this week.
Yeah, and fixing the walls too is another one that I need to do. But, all that kind of stuff is the main focus of.
The incoming flashy for when you're not in the city, that already works, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
worked for me.
I fixed that halfway through. So I'm pretty sure that was
wall
working.
level 11.
Yes.
All the buildings were doing weird things and not capping off at 10 anymore.
I think that was only on the day of the report database overload. Like the rest of the time, all of the rest of the buildings were fine. But yeah, wall is that wall is just a terror.
Yeah.
But it's actually an easy fix. I think I know
Has a
exactly
mind
what's
of its
causing
own.
it, so I
Hmm.
will. I said I think I know exactly what's causing it, so
Oh, good.
Oh, I'm
Cool.
looking at your screen right now, and I see the command report, the command um, blocks are in almost like a shade
Command
of
blocks,
gray
yeah.
versus the tan in the background. I like that.
I
I
think
just noticed it,
it's
and
kind of
it
like a blue.
stands out really nice.
Yeah, it's meant to be a
Pale
little bit
blue or
blue.
gray or something. It's a
And
different
actually,
color than the background, and I love it.
if I send an attack at Gordy, let me see, because that one comes up a little bit red, which I think is kind of nice. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to because Gordy is sieging me. Stop sieging me there, Gordy.
That doesn't work. I've tried it.
Do we actually have enough time to discuss ideas for the next Smackdown? I mean, it's 5 o'clock now.
Yeah, we can spend an extra 10 minutes or something and talk about the ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did have a little bit of a rough start there, so
Yeah, and
we're actually a little bit behind.
we do have a forum post, so it's kind of something we're monitoring to see who comes up with good ideas for the next one. I really don't have too many of my own. Some of the things that people suggested were good. Um, I do like doing the alliance competitions because I feel like people enjoy them more than the single person competitions. I know that the first beta is going to be a single person competition, but I think for these Smackdowns, I think people are really enjoying working as a team to do things a lot more than working on their own. Um, the question is how to make it so that it's a fun competition and something that people like playing, and also that make it so that it kind of evens out the playing field for the bigger alliances, which I know is part of the game to have a bigger alliance. But at this point, we've got so many new people who haven't teamed up in an alliance, and a lot of smaller alliances that it makes it kind of unfair for the competition. So
Plus,
yeah,
if the answer is clear, we should assign people to random alliances.
yeah, I don't see doing that either because if you can't kick
I
people
don't.
out of the alliance,
Yeah.
then you're going to get somebody who's like logged on, once and then logged back out, and you kind of have a useless team member.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Also,
Yeah,
I know
and
if I
there
got
were a few
assigned
of
to
those.
people, I'd have to just quit if I got assigned to some people.
One that I heard a lot
Exactly.
of was change the 10 alliance member limit. Don't take it all the way back up to 100, but take it up to 25.
yeah,
I
we could
saw
do
a
it.
lot of that.
We could do it 20 or
10
25.
is 10 is quite
10 was
few.
just a little bit
Yeah.
too small. Yeah.
And then we can figure out some different metric to judge. Who wins instead of building damage. It can be something else. I think somebody had a suggestion for the most number of Baron caps. I thought that'd be an interesting one. I think that number would be low, but I think that would make people have to organize
Yeah,
as a team a
that
lot
was neat.
more than the sieges, because you could just kind of send the siege out at random castles and try to take it, or try to get any kind of damage possible done. Where with a Baron cap, it'd have to kind of be more organized, and you'd have to make sure there were assaults layered in for each different wave and things like that.
Another one that I saw a lot of was make it based on a combination of offense and defense rank. Whoever has the highest score added between the two wins, or whatever alliance has the most.
Most units killed.
Yeah, or the reputation rank. Whoever has the highest when added defense and offense reputation. So in other words, whoever's doing the most fighting.
Yeah, we could do that.
And Lisa, I see what you mean with the pink attack box. That's awesome. Love it. Stands out.
I'm not sold on the color yet, but it was the best one I could find for what I had in my head, so it'll do.
I
Yeah,
like the red
it's-
outline. I think The pink is
It's maybe a
perhaps
bit
not right.
too
The red outfit's great.
pink, but I like the
Yeah,
fact that
it's
it
quite
stands
pink.
out so much more.
Box shadows.
I'll play with it a bit more.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I think we can come up with something different for the next one. So, we've done two building damage. I think we've had enough of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
I
kind of
still
like the.
wants to know if building damage gives reputation.
Yes, it does. Um,
Okay.
I did kind of like the idea of um, having everybody with like a limited number of castles, and then whoever has the most castles in the end, kind of like a um, winner takes all poker. Might be an interesting idea. I think that it would kind of you know not be helpful for testing, because I think a lot of the help in testing is having people have so many cities to test how the game. I mean, because how many cities did Ninja have at the end?
All of them.
But having somebody with that many cities kind of tests what it would be like in the end game. I mean, 127 isn't that high for numbers of cities. I mean, it might be more up to 500 or so. But it certainly helps to test further advancement in the server than if everybody just had six.
Right, right. It was a nice little load test
hmm
for further into the game.
A lot of it were things that I would have never expected to cause the problem, like report counts. I would have never expected that to crash the database, but you know that's why these alpha tests really help, because I can go in there and see what the issues are, find them, and then figure out how to fix them so that we don't have load balance issues in the future.
There was something else that I noticed also, Gordy, is that if you left the chat going for too long, it got to the point where you'd type a line and it wouldn't ever show up, like several times in a row. And I wasn't the only one experiencing it. I saw a lot of people, oh, I think chat's broke, or, stuff like that. And then that line would show up and they'd be like, oh, okay, there it went. So maybe capping it at 100 or 200 lines again would be good.
Yeah, so I could cap it at 100. I think that would cut down on some lag too, because I bet that having that many uh, lines in the page probably um, adds a lot to you know chat lag at least.
Right.
So yeah,
And
I could
so,
do
like,
that.
especially when I was being whispered, whispers would just absolutely almost crash the game for me. And I'm not sure why.
So yeah,
And
it's just
it's kind of imperative for me to be able to take whispers, because if somebody finds an exploit, they don't want to, tell the whole server, they want to whisper it to me.
I need to fix your whispers too. So remind me to
Yes,
do that during the week.
that would be excellent.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
can definitely limit it at 100 or something. Um, maybe 100 for each, so 100 alliance, 100 world. Um, so it should cut down that problem.
Having the maintenance message show up in Alliance chat, that was a very good one.
Yeah, I did do that a few days in. 'Cause, I forget that people sit in
Well,
alliance chat a lot more than world.
Yeah. People usually only
overall,
come into world chat when they're experiencing a problem or they want to troll.
Um,
huge progress. Definitely huge.
Oh,
to
God, yes.
to Glassel's comment, you know, the ministers are going to be paid, or the counselors are going to be paid for the first beta too. Um, people are going to have to get that week's worth or 2 weeks worth. The reason I'm not doing it now is because I want everybody to use them for testing.
Indeed. Well, I imagine if we were charging for them and they had bugs, people would be a lot more upset about the bugs.
It's the same reason
Oh,
that
yeah.
I didn't, take people's coins out of their accounts. I kind of made a copy of it, so I mean, if everybody goes to the play page, they can still see that their original balance was never touched, um, which is kind of the reason for that, because it was it's not fair to charge people for anything that doesn't work properly. So until
Right.
I'm sure that items work 100%, um, I won't charge people for them. I think that's just the right way to do things. It's the same for counselors until they work perfect. There's no point in making people pay for them.
Makes sense.
So I don't know if anybody else had ideas for, you know, the full
Slurs will
world
be
second
open during
beta.
full world second beta.
Yes, they will be able to use. I don't think they're going to be free where everybody can just use them. They are going to be, have to spend denarii to use them, but they are going to be working.
And people who have donated enough to get a second beta key will obviously have some denarii on their account anyway that they can spend on the counselors. So
Right.
you can choose
Right.
to have it as part of the package.
And so, if anybody else has good ideas, we'll monitor that forum, and midweek or Thursday or something, we'll come to a conclusion on whether or not I've got all the things that I wanted to get done, and then announce the last Smackdown, and announce what the parameters will be based on what we kind of like from the forums. Maybe it'll be a mixture of everybody's ideas, but we're completely open to suggestions on what kind of world you guys want to play, because you guys are the ones playing it. So we can make it anything that the masses deem as something that they want to play. This will probably be one of the last chances to ever create your own scenario, Crown of the Gods server game. So come up with ideas and give them to us, and we'll make it. It's kind of
I
a
want to
Sounds
set
good to
fire
me.
to the trees and cause avalanches with the mountains and have the Cyclopses stomp on people's cities.
um, okay. It's kind of violent.
You left Gordy speechless, Cat.
I just didn't know how. I mean,
Well, that's a first.
oh, okay. So, unless anybody else has any questions, um, I think we'll leave it with Kitzel's plans for complete world destruction. To, I mean, did somebody just read the Book of Revelations, or that might be what it is?
Sorry, I'm excited about Game of Thrones tonight. It's all the dragons and burning and killing and stuff.
Gosh, you need to get a hobby. Just getting way too violent.
So I was a bad girl and I watched the 4 leaked episodes. What episode is tonight supposed to be the second one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
The House of Black and White.
Are we gonna have a
Start
girls of
the plan.
COTG wall calendar? It's not a bad idea.
Jeez. I was hoping you wouldn't see that one, Gordy.
Oh, we might do that.
No, that's not happening. You can forget that idea, Sonny boy.
I think it is happening.
It's not happening.
There-
Buddy.
Will you be Miss? Will you be Miss July, Gordy?
No, I have a Willy. That precludes me from any girls of calendars.
Okay, so it's settled. Gordy is July.
No.
I
Gordy,
think
it's
all
a
of them
new world.
should be Gordy in a dress.
All of them will just be Gordy.
The society of today, having an Audi is no obstacle to calling yourself a woman.
That's absolutely true.
It's probably one of those issues like slavery we probably should just leave alone.
Run away!
God.
Okay. All right, so we're out of time. It's
Yes, we are.
Yes. Here's
So-
a good time to.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to visit the forums and put your ideas for what you want for the next alpha competition, what parameters. Make it as detailed as possible, and we'll pick the ones that we like the best and the ones that other people like the best, and make a game around that. make sure to and thank you guys for playing in the last alpha. Hope you had fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I'm really happy with how it ran. I thought it ran quite smoothly compared to all the other ones, so that's why I'm pretty confident in saying that it's our last alpha coming up. Then we can move into betas and start working our way through the betas and getting the game live, which is exciting because it's been a long process, and
It
you
sure
know
has.
the game is
Nearly
really
there.
becoming a game that works well and is reliable. So it's a very
Yay!
it's fun to see something that you've worked so hard on kind of get to that point where it's actually a viable game, and you know it doesn't have as many issues as we did when we first started off.
You know, I noticed when I was uploading the old streams just how far we've come. The evolution of the game has just been incredible.
And
Yeah, it really has.
and
We've
it's
come
kind of
so
cool.
far.
It's kind of cool for everybody who's been playing too, because it's not often that people get to see an evolution of the game like that. Um, and I hope everybody's been having fun, dealing with all of the bugs, but at the same time getting to see the development of the game. And certainly when the game goes live, we're gonna have a T-shirt with our logo that says, COTG. I played when the screen just blacked out.
In the back should say keep calm and refreshed.
Keep calm and refresh.
Yes.
I
So
played when Stennis's were stewards.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have stories for years to tell all the noobs.
Yes.
But,
Thank you for sticking with us and not getting fed up with us or throwing in the towel.
yeah, and we will be doing another
Uh-oh,
Twitch
Lisa
next
went
week,
robot.
and
Oh.
keep an eye on the site and social media, because we'll be doing the announcement for when the next Smackdown and the kind of the parameters of that will be. So if you don't
Yay!
keep an eye out and you don't start in time, don't blame us because we post it. You can blame 80 though. Everybody's free to blame 80 for anything that they like.
Oh dear.
I can wiggle my fingers now and break it, so watch out. I have game super breaking powers.
So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see y'all later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.